Welcome to the Limitless Podcast. The Limitless Podcast is centered around exactly that, being limitless. Hunting, fishing, fitness, nutrition, adventure, disabilities. What may be covered during the Limitless Podcast will be, well, limitless. Stay tuned for this episode of the Limitless Podcast. Limitless Podcast listeners, and if you're on YouTube, viewers, here today to not talk about hunting. We're not going to talk about backcountry stuff. At least I don't think so. The premise of this show is based on fishing. But before we dive into our topic for this episode, let's cover our sponsors. It's Hunting Day Coffee, 10% off any order. Be Limitless 10 is your code. Phelps Game Calls, 20% off. It's a one-time code, so make it count. Be Limitless 20. On Point Adventure Foods, 10% off any order. That's Be Limitless 10. Vortex Optics, 25% off. Eurooptics.com. When I say that, meaning that you go to eurooptics.com, any Vortex product on their website is 25% off with this code, VTXLMTLS25. Now, I did have a listener contact me today to let me know that the code was not working. I contacted Vortex. They verified that the code is supposed to be working. So if anybody listens to this episode, which will publish in November of 2024, or is it 2025? 24.
Yeah.
Please contact me if you try to use that anytime in the near future, and let me know if you're having issues so I can reach out to Vortex again. Wilderness Athlete, 20% off any order. Be Limitless 20. And the Love Sauce Hot Sauce, 10% off any order of $12 or more. That's Be Limitless 10. And last but not least, as of right now, is Stick It Magnetic Gear, their magnetic rangefinder strap. That is 20% off their website, Be Limitless 20. Now, I do have another sponsor that I have not finalized the process, so I will announce that in the next week or two. So with that said, I want to introduce a gentleman from Pennsylvania. I have On Point Adventure Foods is out of Pennsylvania. This gentleman here, prior service to our country, still serving our country in his local community, and owns his own soft plastic bait company. This is Taylor Magditch from Fish or Die Bait Company. Taylor, how are you doing on this fine November day?
I'm great, Aaron. How are you?
I'm good. I'm getting ready to go hunting tomorrow, but that's not what we're going to talk about today. We're talking about fishing. Taylor, you and I met at the Great American Outdoor Show this last February. That's also where I met Dustin and Sabrina, the owners of On Point Adventure Foods, both PA-based companies. That's where you and I met, and been anxious to get you on the show ever since, but I wanted to wait until I put some of your plastics in the water. But I have to be honest, I have not done that, the due diligence that it deserves. But tell us really quick where you're out of, and
bring it down, please.
Why the hows, the whys, like the 5 W's of getting into the soft plastic industry.
Yeah, so I started the company back in 21, and it was something that me and my wife went over, and we decided to jump in and do. I've always been an outdoorsman, fishing since I could walk, hunting as well, and it was something that intrigued me. The ability to customize something and make it your own, come up with different colors. I've always been a huge guy with like marketing in history. I loved that. So to incorporate both come up with the cool logo, the cool name, and people resonated with it. I got to plug in here. My kids use my computer. It's dying on me. Um,
Gotcha.
but yeah, we came up with the idea, and I invested a ton of money in outrageous amount of time because it's extremely hard, believe it or not. Most people don't realize, like your huge companies, your Strike Kings, your Zooms, all those. There we go. Now we're plugged in. Um, they're huge machines. They're distribution molds. I'm hand injecting everything still. So I work 12-hour shifts. Like you said, I'm still a police officer. So yesterday I worked 12 hours, come home, do a little bit of bait, have dinner with the family, and then do it all over again. So it's very time consuming.
Wow. And so I mean, looking at some of your bait, I mean, do you have to mix up all of your flakes
Yeah,
and all that on all that plastic?
yeah. It's something. I get it in 5 gallon buckets. Um, Mix it up, the plastisol, because depending on the different formula that we're using, whether it's a little bit stiffer, the velocity of it, we mix that up, and I have a whole thing of recipes, depending on the color that I'm trying to make. And it's tough because, like I said, hand injection, there's human error. And when I'm microwaving something, if you leave it in a little bit too long, then you don't get the certain color. It gets a little bit yellowish. Whereas, the distribution molds are a million times easier, almost zero error. So
Gotcha.
we're moving that way. There's some huge things on the horizon. We're working. I came up with a design first in the industry, in the fishing industry, and I pitched it to, I'd say, a top 5 company in the nation, and the owner loved it. And we've been working hand in hand with him these last few months, and we should be launching that, I want to say, around Bassmaster Classic time. So
Okay.
yeah, so it'll be pretty cool.
And is that going to be largemouth focused, smallmouth focused, or
Both.
both? Okay.
Both. Yeah, we'll do. We're going to be having a 2 different sizes. We'll have a 4 inch and then a 2.5.
Okay.
So yeah, it'll be pretty neat. I'm excited for it.
Where do you get your molds at?
So
Because
luckily, our manufacturer's in PA here. So I just texted him earlier. I'm supposed to pick it up tomorrow, so I can literally just drive there. It's about an hour and a half from me. So
okay.
extremely convenient in that respect. But I mean, he's great. I send ideas to him, and he hits me with, I don't know if I could do that. I don't know if we can make it work with this. And you can do it. And then he eventually does it. Cost me an arm and a leg. No pun intended, but that's that's the way it goes. So we wanted stuff custom, we wanted stuff unique, and we were able to pull it off. So it's been good. We've got tons of positive feedback. So
Right on. Do you have any examples? I failed to bring my baits up from the shop.
nearby, yeah,
Excellent. Excellent. I'm gonna because I mean people that watch this on YouTube, they're gonna want to see some of your baits.
yeah, of course.
Well, that's pretty cool. I know that when you and I met back at the NRA show, a lot of your stuff was seemed to be focused more on smallmouth, and I think but that's partially because up where you live, fish a
Location,
lot of
yeah,
you fish a lot of smallmouth more so than you do largemouth.
yeah,
Um,
primarily, yeah.
I you know, I tend to fish more largemouth when I do fish. There, I mean, there's just not a lot of smallmouth down here for me to target. So I'm fishing largemouth. I'm fishing snakehead. I'm fishing saltwater fish. Puppy drum.
See those snakeheads? I'm very intrigued on them. They're making their way up. They're in PA, scattered around. But I've never caught one. They're gnarly.
They are gnarly. But I was, so I picked up some of your warbirds. And
That's one of the
then
ones I was going to show. Yeah.
is it, yeah, it should throw up the warbird. Yep. So that's, I have some of the warbird. I have it, I think, in that color and in white. And white is very popular for snakehead.
So that's the warbird. So this is our 5.5 inch version. We also do a 4 inch version, but the 5.5, like you said, with saltwater, I'll do like a straight white pearl or chartreuse, and we go chase stripers out in Jersey. So I incorporated a belly slot on it to make it a little bit easier for guys fishing it that way. But I designed it. This is our fluke, essentially. I designed it as our fluke. Um, a little bit different. It's unique. That arrowhead tail with it being vertical. A lot of guys love it as a chatterbait trailer. It's absolutely killer.
Huh.
Just the tail whipping behind. It's pretty awesome. This is probably our newest right now. That's the Patriot.
Okay. I
Uh,
have some of your Shermans.
yeah, that's the other one I was going to show. But that's a small crawl. That's fish it on a Ned, micro jig, and these are the Shermans. Shermans we do a 4 inch and then a 3 inch. So, like you said, with the smallmouth, with my location, we tend to drop everything down in size. Typically, the smaller the better in that regard. But that's the Sherman. So your typical creature bait, except we put both on, so you have both the flappers and the crawl or the claws. So I like things to be a little bit versatile. So it allows the angler to fish it how he wants. For example, if you take the claws off and just use the flaps, that's your typical creature flipping bait, swim jig behind with it kicking, and then some guys just throw it with just the claws because they like that crawfish profile,
Mm-hmm.
especially in the 3 inch. So yeah, some cool stuff, and it's all from my brain, surprisingly. Um, I just come up with an idea, I start sketching, and end up coming up with the CAD design, working with the manufacturer, and create the aluminum mold. So it's pretty sweet.
So I bought baits from you in January, and I, up until I think it was last week, maybe the week prior, but I think it was last week, I had not been fishing for over a year, and started jonesing to get the kayak out. And I had scouted a piece of public property, hunting property, a WMA down here on the Eastern Shore. And it has a lot of wetlands. It's choked with mountain laurel, heavy, heavy mountain laurel. But you can get through these pockets and bands of hardwoods, and there's really, really good deer activity. So looking at the parking areas and the trail systems that the state has through this property, I'm looking at this expansive river access, and I'm thinking to myself, man, there's a kayak launch right there. It's not a boat launch. It is a rudimentary public kayak launch. I
Mm-hmm.
can I can launch my yak there, and I can pedal um, up the river and get some wet access that guys that are not willing to do that, they're going to have to walk a lot further and bust through a lot more ground to get into this edge, this swamp edge where the hardwoods are starting to hit the swampy environments.
Yeah.
So I figured, well, you know what? If I'm going to go do this, I may as well throw my rods in and, throw the battery in the yak and hook up fish finder and pedal down river and go throw some plastics. I ended up not, I only went out for about 2 hours. I thought that I was going to go out for about 5 hours and really do some fishing. And I ended up only being out for about 2 hours. I did throw some baits around. I had one bite, and checked a couple of different entry points, but that's been my extent of not just fishing in 14 months, but The only baits that I threw were your baits for off and on for 2 hours, had one bite. Um, and that's not saying that I don't have faith in your baits. I was scouting and looking for deer, and I
Yeah.
found an insane amount of turkey sign. Like
Really?
I nosed my yak up um into the into a marshy area, and I got out of it, and I walked 15 feet off the bank, and it had been, tide was coming in, but we were just coming off of low tide, and so all the grass was laying down, matted down, and there was 7 piles of turkey poop in that one spot that I nosed my yak up onto and got out of the yak 15 yards off of the water line. Well, the edge of
Wow.
the river.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Pristine because nobody goes there.
well,
It's like a sanctuary for them.
and most guys aren't going to put on waders and get out into the swamp to chase turkey.
Hmm.
And it gets the gears spinning because everything you're taught is turkeys don't like being wet. That's one thing about, when it's a heavy rain, turkeys don't like being wet. And I'm standing there on, looking around, and there's 7 globs of tom poop in this one area. And it's like, that was a couple of toms that moved through. They were either roosted or they walked through here, crapping
Yeah.
everywhere. So it's now I'm thinking,
Have
I'm
you been back since to that spot or no?
I have not. No, I
Yeah.
haven't.
And you're like Chesapeake area?
No, I'm down on the eastern shore of Maryland, Salisbury.
Okay. Gotcha.
I'm a bit south of Ocean City.
Oh, nice. That's cool though. Yeah, we have I was telling you that bear story, but we have a few turkeys back where I'm at. I'm near the Poconos in PA.
Okay.
Um, and I don't know. You said about them not liking the wet, but I always see and hear them near the swamps. Always like near that thick stuff that nobody wants to be in. And I don't know, maybe it's like a security aspect to them. They know nobody's coming back, and it's weird.
It's there's a lot of big bucks will do the same thing,
Oh yeah.
just because people hit the edge of that marsh or the edge of that swamp, and then they don't want to go any further. So
Yeah.
it's that if, as long as they have food, they have, the swamp provides security and a water source. So as long as they have a food source out there, that's a perfect place for them to go, because there's not a lot of pressure. But
Yeah.
back to fishing. Um, so you 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 have a full-time career, you're running this bait company, you're getting ready to introduce a first-time product into the market. Do you fish competitively?
I wish. I don't have the time, to be honest with you. Um, I want to do some Phoenix and Toyota series this next year if the schedule lines up. This past year, I only had one event that I would have been able to go to. It was at the St. Lawrence actually. Um, but it's never worked out for me time wise. I do local club stuff and I'll go in some opens here and there. But yeah, I wish maybe in the future, maybe next year, try and get in some. And I think in all reality, when this bait launches, and I think it's going to take off, um, I think that's why they took the chance and wanted to collaborate on this. So with that and the growing of the company in general, my overall goal is to get not like essentially bought out, but I want to do this full time. I
Okay.
don't want to put it plainly. I don't want to be a cop anymore. I don't enjoy that aspect as well as I did in years past. I got 3 young boys, but back to the fishing competitively. Once this takes its place, and maybe that, a year, 2 year, 3 year, whatever the case may be, where I can do this full time, then I'll have that time. Then I'll have the financial aspect to go in these, $1,000, $2,000 entry fee tournaments.
Okay.
Because
Are
right
you
now, if I wanted to do that, I would my wife would murder me. She's like, we need to replace windows on the house. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna go fish this tournament. So
Are you sponsoring any pros right now?
we sponsor a few guys in the Bassmaster Opens.
Okay.
Yeah, nobody in the elites. A few guys fishing MLF, nobody in their pro series or anything like that. But the future is bright, and I anticipate that'll happen shortly.
Are you going to try to make it to the ICAST?
Yeah, I went this past year.
Did you have a booth there or just go to?
I did not. So we went down to kind of scope it out,
Okay.
to see, booth wise and whatnot. And it was awesome, awesome opportunity. Met a lot of cool guys, cool people that I've exchanged only on social media. You know what I mean? You recognize them. Oh, I talked to you a few times, and love your baits and whatnot. And that was pretty cool. But this upcoming year, I'll be down there again, and I'll probably be at the booth with this other company.
Okay.
Because that bait will uh, most likely be a new product showcase for that. So that'll be very exciting. And I think, well, I'll be Great American Outdoor Show as well. I don't know if you're heading up again.
I'm going to try to go up for a day. It doesn't look like I'll be speaking there this year. I'll be speaking at the Western Hunting Expo out in Utah, the week after the PA show shuts down. But I plan to go up at least for a day.
Gotcha. That's
But
cool. Yeah,
I
we'll,
I
we'll be
could
in the same. We'll be in the same spot. We registered again for that, but we'll be there in February. ICAST in July, and then I want to say we have something later on in the year, but I can't think of it. I'm trying to book up and try and get out and shake hands any place I can. You know what I mean?
okay.
It's
Are
time to bounce.
are when you're at the PA show, the NRA show, are you going to do any tank presentations or tank seminars?
If they let me. If they let me.
Okay.
I tried last year. The guy who he goes to all those shows. There's the Great Niagara. Where else? He owns that tank and he drives it across the country to all these different fishing shows.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so I forget his name, but good guy. I went up to him like, hey, do you mind if I just throw some lures in? I'll take some videos and this and that. Oh, I can't let you. I can't let you. So we'll see. Maybe I'll email him prior, ahead of time, see if I can maybe even do a seminar or something. So we'll see.
What's with all the brands that are out there, right? What one what inspired you to start basically a small batch bait company to compete with all of these big brands? And what differentiates your plastics from Yamamoto, Strike King, Gugon,
Yeah. Um,
Missile
so
Bait Company? They're
Missile
blowing
Bait,
up.
Missile Bait Company, they're a great bait company. Um,
Virginia based bait company.
they are. John Cruz, he's a great guy. Um, so what allowed me to do it, I think, is not necessarily easier, but within my capacity to do. Like if you were like, hey Taylor, can you build a rod? I would have no idea where to start. So making soft plastics, like many things and many people do, I went on YouTube. I'm like, how does this even work? And there was this guy named Chris Jones. He still does it. He's freaking incredible. He hand pours very intricate swim baits, and I started watching him once I got the idea. And I'm watching him. I'm like, this is hard. He's legitimately like very artistic in what he's doing. But I think I could do it. So then I purchased some small stuff, do it molds, things anybody can really do. And I started playing around. I gave myself second degree burns. That fan behind me, it freaking fell in on me, landed on the plastisol. It was 350 degrees, landed all over my hands. Had to go to the hospital. So there's been some learning, learning process, but inevitably, I got the hang of it. I started really trying to almost master it in a way. And then I just started the design process. So then it was what sets you apart from the other brands, like you said. There's that Warbird, nobody has a Warbird. You know what I mean? The Sherman, nobody has a Sherman. Those are all hand drawn to a CAD, then printed out, and it creates a different action. Um, so that's the uniqueness as far as, like I said originally, the marketing aspect. So Fisher Die Bait Company, I have join or die tatted on me. I just love the history aspect. Our all white color. Bait companies will call it white. We call it King George's wig. Like those are the little niche things that people love about us, and we roll with it. I what's the new color we got? We got Shell Shock. That's like our bluegill color. We just came out with that, and people resonate with it. The logo. We have a sticker here. I'll show you. So I mean, the little things like that set us apart, and
So
people they
when you
become
come
loyal. You know what I mean? They're
when
loyal
you
customers.
when you come out with a new like orange or red, yellow, something like that, almost like your fire tiger color, right?
Mm-hmm.
You should call it burning time fuse.
Burning time fuse for your
Right on.
EOD.
Yeah, absolutely.
Love it. Love it. I got some guy wanted down in Texas. I guess it's huge. I don't really use it up here. Blue with blue flake, and we named that tea in the harbor.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, yeah.
That's cool.
So
That's
yeah,
cool. So
and I
what's
enjoy. I was
are
gonna
you
say I
using
enjoy it. It's like I said with the cop aspect. That's I can do a 10-hour podcast on why, but this is like work, but I love it. Like I'll spend all day making bait, and it's something I enjoy. So money's not everything. I've told this to family, friends, coworkers. It's like, why be miserable doing something that you don't like? You know what I mean? Put your passion into something that you enjoy, and that can make you happy. That's honestly the goal of life. You know what I mean?
it it should be. Yeah, my dad told me that when I was 18 years old. He's like
Mm-hmm.
he said, "Don't don't choose something. Don't let something choose you because you have to." He said, "Find something that you want to do every day. If not, you're
Yeah,
going to be miserable." Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
And my dad and family told me similar things, but at the time you were 18. You know what I mean? You're young and dumb, and you don't listen, and you just, oh, this sounds like a good idea.
Are you using any materials that's different from the big companies? Is it the material piece that sets your baits apart, or is it just the the design work that you're doing and what you're putting into your molds that differentiates you from the rest of the market?
Obviously the designs, but the plastisol itself is different. The majority of larger brands use um, two, maybe three different plastisol brands. They're not using mine. I can guarantee you. It's a little bit more expensive, more mom and pop, if you will.
Okay.
And then the recipes, like I mentioned, like that's our silver shiner. That's a swamp fox, I call it. Um, but other companies will have a silver shiner color, but it's not that. You know what I mean? It's a recipe that I came up with. I a quarter teaspoon of this, an eighth of that, and I shoot it, and I'm looking at it. I use it, test it out. I'm like, I think it should be a little bit more or a little bit less. It's too much glit. You know what I mean? So it's the little things like that tweak it and make it our own.
Okay. Do you have a favorite?
Favorite color?
Uh Favorite bait?
Favorite bait?
It's tough, right?
It is. Probably the probably the Gadsden, if I was being honest. I don't have any in here. Yeah, but that's our drop shot bait because I mean, 9 out of 10 times I'm drop shotting. So that's what I have tied on. I love it. Oh, I do have one actually. Let me show you. And it was actually our first custom bait that we did. So the first hand drawn design, CAD made. Um, so it's flat belly, ribbed. I don't know if you could see it. So ribbed body there, and then the 3D eyes, of course. So yeah, that's something that's tied on 10 out of 10 times.
And that was your first bait right there. The Gadsden was your first bait.
That was our first custom bait.
Okay.
When I first started out, I was using molds that, like I mentioned, anybody could get at Do It. But once we really invested and wanted to be our own company and our own, um, you know, designs, that was the first one that I made, and
Okay.
it's honestly our top three seller still. It's an incredible bait
What is your top seller?
right now. Currently, probably that Patriot, the small crawl, uh,
Okay.
that in the 4-inch Warbird. But top three, Gadsden, those two, and then our Ajax. This was a pretty huge launch. This is what got the attention of Tackle Warehouse. It's our goby bait.
I fished that the other day.
Did you?
I did, yeah. I
Yeah,
did.
yeah, yeah. It's pretty gnarly. It's a goby bait, but different. And how is it different? Like the dark sleeper from Megabass, $10-12 for one, which is insane to begin with. But their tail goes up and then down. It's a paddle tail, and it'll almost touch the bottom of the water column, the bottom level. Whereas ours, it's slanted upward. So when you're, let's, for example, Beast Coast Sled Head, that's one that I would recommend pairing it up with. So of, if it's on the bottom and you're not moving it at all, you're not jigging it, you're not reeling it, and it's just sitting there, and you're in any type of current, that tail is constantly moving because it's raised above. And it sucks for me because the way we were able to do that is a 3-piece mold. So I can only make 2 gobies at a time. So when
Wow.
so when Tackle Warehouse and these other retailers put in the orders, I mean it kills me. It takes forever, but it's worth it. The bait is absolutely killer.
I was gonna ask you, are you only selling to online customers or at shows, or are you in any like box stores or
Yeah,
online
so
elsewhere other than your own URL?
so the biggest, obviously, Tackle Warehouse. We're on Fishing Online, which is pretty big, PA company. And as far as like brick and mortars, we're in, excuse me, my local shop here, Mike's Bait and Sport. We are in Thousand Island Bait Store, which is the mecca up there, Thousand Islands. So definitely go there if you're in the area. They have all the awesome smallmouth stuff that we make. Um, Tackle Box in Jersey. They have some of our saltwater stuff for guys chasing stripers. So we're scattered along, but it's all East Coast right now.
Okay.
I would love to go south in Florida. We're still trying to get in there because that's huge. Obviously, Texas would be huge, but like I said, I think a lot of our progression and where this company is going is gonna kind of explode once this bait comes out and once people see that, because that's going to be in Dick's Sporting Goods, that's going to be in Bass Pro Shops, you name it, that'll be everywhere.
I'm looking for, so have you reached out to Green Top Sporting Goods down around Fredericksburg?
No,
Okay.
I'll write it
Uh,
down. What is it? Green Top?
Green Top, yeah. And then I'm trying to find, there's a it's, I want to say it's called, I'm gonna find it. Give me a second. I think I'm gonna find it. I hope so. Seahawk Sports Center. They're on they're south of Pocomoke City on Highway 13 on the Eastern Shore. I would I would definitely reach out to Seahawk, just because they're I mean, on the Eastern Shore, whether you drive west or east, you're hitting the Chesapeake, which has, all of your saltwater fish, your brackish fish, all of that, and then you head west or east, and you're hitting the Atlantic. So you have guys that are fishing for striper in either direction, in either bodies of water, and they Seahawk is really focused on saltwater and brackish fish.
Okay.
Super nice guy. It's a very small mom and pop sporting goods store. Super nice. They might be interested in hosting some of your striper related baits for sure.
Cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll always I want to expand as much as we can. Like I said, this is the plan for the future. I want to do this full time. So anywhere and everywhere that
If
your listeners know of local shops and whatnot, have them reach out. I'm more than willing.
Check out Green Top Sporting Goods. They're out of Fredericksburg. They're awesome. They're right down the road from Bass Pro. And if I'm driving on 95 and I have an option to stop at a sporting goods store, if I can take that exit and I can choose whether I go to Bass Pro or Green Top, I will go to Green Top every single time.
Of
And
course.
they have more stuff. Their staff are incredible. They're fun to interact with. It's a very different experience than going to Bass Pro.
Oh yeah.
I would hit up Green Top, and their fishing section is vast.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
definitely will. And the mom and pop shops are awesome. I mean, any especially a body of water that you're going to, and there's a shop within 5-10 miles. They know what to throw. They know what colors. Like those are the
yeah,
ones you want to talk to. So absolutely.
excellent. So what? You have this new bait that you're working on. Is there anything else you have in the works? We know that you have hopes and dreams of making this your full-time profession. Do you see yourself staying in your home state right now? Would you move? Are you going to move to a bigger location? What are your future plans or thoughts if this thing really starts to steamroll?
Yeah, I love the area that I'm at. I'm in the Lehigh Valley of PA, so we're kind of nestled hour and a half from Philly, hour from the Poconos. It's kind of the best of both worlds. Um, but I have half my family's in Florida right now. We go down there and visit all the time on the Gulf, Tampa and St. Pete area. I've been trying to convince my wife for the last 4 years, to see if we can make that jump. And I think realistically, in the next 5 years, it's possible. But who knows, where we are at that point. But I've always I've always had aspirations of moving. We'll see. I mean, Florida's the mecca for fishing. Saltwater and freshwater. You can't beat it. Um,
Mhm.
it's absolutely amazing, minus the hurricanes, right?
Mhm.
It's an awesome place. Very like-minded people down there as myself. Um, I would also love to go west. Like you mentioned, you were out in Idaho. Beautiful, beautiful country. Beautiful. Um, I I would love to. I mean, this is a pipe dream, but to go out there and or Montana, Wyoming, and just live on a ranch, like I feel like every guy loves that. The thought of that, and um, it all comes down to family. So we'll see. I got three young boys. The oldest is 7. So
But with your baits, are you looking at sticking to the injection mold process by hand, or are you looking at trying to grow it to the point to where everything is modernized and
oh,
done by machines?
for sure. So this new bait that's coming out, that they're going to be handling all the manufacturing and supply because they have the ability to do so.
Okay.
I'm going to be purchasing the distribution molds, and then I think the attention that bait will bring um, will eventually get to the point where the Warbird, the Gadsden, the Sherman, those will all be in a distribution mold. That's my goal.
Okay.
I definitely don't want to be hand injecting, you know, for the remainder. It's just a necessary evil at this point. You know what I mean?
Okay.
It's I'm a one man show, so there's only so much I could do at this point. But that'll be the match. I'll say that, and then in the future it'll grow for sure.
All right.
And I'm and don't get me wrong, I'm proud of where we are. I mean, I started this from absolutely nothing. I took money out of my pension to do it, and I mean, 2021, I started it. Last year, we got in tackle warehouse. I mean, that's huge. That's where you want to be if you're a soft plastic or terminal tackle. Yeah, I mean, anything in the fishing industry, if you're on tackle warehouse, I mean, quote unquote, you made it in a way. Uh,
Gotcha.
so I'm proud of where we're at. I'm always striving for more. So that's my mentality. It's a negative, but it's also a positive, I guess.
I'm looking forward to having, hopefully next summer, maybe late spring next summer, I'll have some more time to get back in the yak and do a little more fishing. I get so wrapped up in hunting. That's what my passion is. For me to, at this point, for me to take the escape and go out and get my yak for half of a day, it's not as easy as it used to be.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah, yeah.
I do miss it. I do miss it.
Yeah, and I'm that way with hunting. I used to go hunting all the time, and that's why I told you before we went live. I'm excited to go out in 2 hours here. I got the stuff in the washing machine because half the time when I'm not at work, I'm at home at work doing this stuff, so I don't have time to go out in the tree stand anymore. But we'll see. I have some good mature buck on the trail cam, so hopefully the rut's in full swing right now. So we'll hopefully send a meat missile through.
Right on. Right on. Well, do me a favor. Tell everybody where they can go to find you and your soft plastics.
Yeah, so please, our biggest social media, follow us on Instagram. It's Fish or Die Bait Co. Facebook, Fish or Die Bait Company, and that's our website, www.fishordiebaitcompany.com. And support us there. Support us at Tackle Warehouse. Our retailers, we have a list because we like pushing our customers to them, and so that way they keep coming back. And as well as the mom and pop shops, we have those listed. So definitely go out and support them. But yeah, follow us, follow along the journey, and we'll keep getting better and bigger.
Right on, Taylor. Thanks a lot for taking time out of your super busy life to sit down and record with me. And I plan on seeing you at least to swing by and shake hands and whatnot at the NRA show here coming up in February. And obviously we're gonna stay in touch and swap hunting stories and fishing stories, man. This was awesome.
Yeah, absolutely, Aaron. I appreciate it, man.
Yeah.
We tried to get it done for a while, and I was just so damn busy. But
Well, I mean,
I'm
we
glad I
both
came on.
really both are.
Yeah.
Right on. Well, you've heard where to go to find the baits. You've heard about the baits. So if you do enjoy fishing, get on the computers after listening to this podcast or watching it on YouTube and check out some of the baits that are offered by Fish or Die Bait Company. Um, when you I mean, you can only see so much on the internet, but I'm telling you, when you're holding the packages in your hand and you're looking at some of the detail on these baits, it's pretty impressive. So do go give them a shot. Everybody, y'all know where to find me. Limitless Outdoors. You can find me on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, my webpage, limitlessoutdoors.com. And thanks for listening. Thanks for supporting. And as always, be limitless.